Okay, guys. So yeah, I've been reading my newsfeed, and I'm really, really trying to drive a point home that totally off the activism, totally done with the fear campaigns. And I know some of you are still very heavily into activism. And some of you, yes, I've kept on my Facebook for whatever reason, but I know that you secretly are total activists. And I'm not trying to exercise any power or not, but I am being true to my convictions. So yes, I have said that if you decide, if you don't agree or you don't understand my protocol, please get my book. Please, please, please get my book. Go read, go read it, and then ask the questions in the discussion forum. So if you don't understand, cabbage, and that when you eat raw cabbage, you should be like careful out there in the matrix, then if you're wondering if that pertains to my protocol, then go ask in the discussion forum, what about eating raw cabbage? And then I'll answer your question. Okay? So yeah, I had Liz Buchanan, and she's still an activist, completely about the chemtrails, totally hates Monsanto and biotech, and that's fine. Hasn't been too active on my Facebook, but except for occasionally. And so when I put in that, organic versus GMO versus food out of country versus local food, okay, I have absolutely no beef with taking any food from out of country. Oh yeah, I hear about them pissing all over all of the produce, using human wastewater to water the produce. But guess what? You should not be afraid, because you're going to be doing the Jilly Juice. You're going to use my juice on your vegetables. You don't even know what happens in your local area, what they do to your food. So this whole thing of being afraid of GMO food, because even GMO food, genetically modified, it may have pathogens in there, but guess what? There's also nutrients in there. There's positive and negative elements. So if you're so afraid of extra poisons in your food, then guess what? You need to move to the Himalayan mountains. So I'm completely aware. I know who's still an activist. I know that you guys, some of you are still so like against Monsanto and against biotech when it comes to big agra. But really, you have zero choice in the matter when it comes to where your food comes from. Now, yeah, you may, get some from your local grocery store. You may go, or get from your local farmer. You may get, you may grow your own. But some of you have no choice. Some of you live somewhere way, way far away in a cold climate where you have to get your food shipped into you. So guess what the countering force against anything that's negative elements? It's salt, it's water, and then it's nutrition. Because I totally killed off the whole organic versus GMO argument by fermenting genetically modified vegetables. So I have no fear of anything that comes from Mexico. That's fine. They can piss all over my plants. I don't care. They can use human wastewater all over, using in their irrigation. But guess what? I have no fear. I will either, I don't even wash my vegetables, actually. I'll just, put, if I'm really that afraid, if there's like a listeria scare, I'll just pour my recipe over my vegetables and my fruits. And then guess what? Everything is fine. My body is going to have the laws of the immune system be so strong that it will separate out the pathogens. It'll separate out the pathogens, and then it'll have me absorb all the nutrients. And so, hey, I can have and be around pathogens and anything else and not be afraid. Now, yeah, if someone were to make me eat somebody's shit, yeah, that's not a good thing. But guess what? No one's making you do that. So yeah, even from an organic place, right? Even from an organic place, you have no idea what they've done to those organic vegetables. Target sells organic vegetables, and my husband used to work for Target. They still spray stuff all over the Target organic vegetables. So, even if you grow your own, you have no idea who and what made the seeds. That's what I'm saying. So it doesn't even matter if it's organic or if it's not, or if it's GMO. It absolutely makes zero bit of difference because you understand balancing forces. So yeah, so I saw who liked when I put in there about how GMO and organic was a bunch of bullshit. And then I saw the 5 likes that were on there because of somebody disputing, which was Liz Buchanan saying, well, the reason why I'm against, reason why I understand about, I don't know, countering those forces, but I want to have less poisons on my plant. How the hell are you going to measure that, less poisons on your food? How are you going to measure that? I mean, this is where the whole activism gets asinine and the whole thing against Monsanto and whatever else. The fact that you can get a vegetable grown in the ground, regardless of what's in it, the fact that it's able to grow and flourish and look pretty. We have sun, we have air, we have water. The fact that it's able to grow says that there's already nutrients that your body needs. And so it doesn't matter if it has a bit more mercury than this other soil. If it's able to grow and flourish, even if it's mutated, if it's able to grow and flourish, you can eat a mutated vegetable, and then your biochemistry that's completely aligned with each other and everything will then purge out the excess, whatever it is, whether it's, mercury or something else that is causing it to mutate. When you see like two-headed strawberries, because yeah, it may have been exposed to something in the air from pollution, right? But it still was able to grow because life is so stubborn. Yeah, it may grow mutated, but also whether or not you should eat the mutation is based upon the intention. Do you eat a mutated human? No, because you're not supposed to cannibalize a human. So no, you wouldn't eat a mutated human. But I don't mind eating a mutated vegetable if that was all I had. No, it's not optimal to eat mutated vegetables. You don't love it. But if it happens, it happens. Who cares? I mean, yes, we look at appearance as something, and that's what attracts us to eat certain foods, the color, the appearance, and what we think is normal. But if, let's say, you have no other choice and you ate that mutated vegetable, your body that is 100% healed and sealed, okay, and you're doing the Jilly Juice, will be able to filter out those negative elements. So then what's your argument about the whole organic versus GMO? There is absolutely no argument. None. And so, so the ones that are still in the activism and still want to just beat that drum will fail to understand my information. And then they have somebody coming in on my Facebook who wants to dispute and yeah, give me a backhanded compliment saying, yeah, your juice is going to do this, but I still don't, I'm still going to rail against Monsanto and biotech and all of that because, they still have to beat a drum. They still have to play that game. And then I have people on my Facebook who are supporting me, that say they support me, are liking that comment. So if you liked Liz Buchanan's comment today, and I know who you are because I saw who liked that comment, and really you should have put her in her place and said, hey, there should be no reason to fear Monsanto, because the only way you can fear Monsanto, the only time you should really fear Monsanto is if he's lining you up. If his whole crew is taking you and putting you in a train and then taking you to a concentration camp to where they gas you. They gas you to death to where you have absolutely no choice in the matter. There is no option for excess air. You have no choice in the matter. Then that's when you should be upset and you should be fearful. But Monsanto is not gassing you. Guess who's gassing you to death? Just make a wild guess who's gassing you to death. You, who are afraid to poop, who's afraid to shit, is gassing yourself to death. That's called DNA methylation. It's methane poisoning from your own shit because you're too afraid to poop. So your whole argument against Monsanto and biotech is asinine. And so when I say, which I had that comment, and I'm not going to be mad that I deleted her comment, but I sort of remember who liked her comment about her disputing the Monsanto stuff. But if you have to like that comment that person said because you're still wanting to attack Monsanto and biotech, then you really fail to understand the balancing forces in our world, and you're still playing the organic versus GMO game. I mean, that is a brainwashing that is so hard for a lot of you activists. So let me read so I'll tell you which one what comment or that post was. Gluten or glyphosate is not the enemy. It's your mutated gut and your ignorance to strategic nutrition and how positive and negative forces work together. It's also the ignorance of the laws of the immune system. Organic industry is a load of bullshit, capitalizing on the ignorance of a general public and manipulating their emotions by inducing hormones, causing a predictable reaction based upon the dominant hormone in control. Okay? And so I deleted her comment, but she was basically, what she was doing was she was defending her platform against Monsanto and pesticides and all of that stuff. Okay? And so then there were people on my Facebook who were liking her comment. And then I had to put in there, you know, something about, hey, if you were, you know, if you were savvy and you weren't ignorant around these elements, then you wouldn't worry about what Monsanto was doing. You wouldn't worry about what biotech was doing. Because the fact that you have a vegetable, that you have an option for a vegetable in your produce says that life was able to sustain itself. And now you have the responsibility of whether or not you will take in and absorb those nutrients and release the excess. Okay, so I know there's some of you that are still, and those of you that liked her comment didn't have the balls to actually add to it. No, you just had to like her comment. But I also know you guys know exactly how I do things. So you won't comment, you'll just like somebody's comment. And then, yeah, I mean, if I really want to be a bitch, I can block everybody that liked it. But, you know, I'm not going to do that because I knew that you knew that you weren't going to, that you knew what was right or was wrong. Liz is oblivious. And then Liz asked me a question in another place about, you know, eating raw eating raw cabbage, saying like, oh, you know, I was told that you're not supposed to eat raw cabbage because it hardened the thyroid. Now I want to know the truth. Can you tell me the truth? And so guess what? I blocked her off. That was the straw that broke the camel's back because she is not taking and reading my book. She should be asking those types of questions around the cabbage and the protocol in my website, where everybody that doesn't know about Jilly Juice too much and has questions and has concerns, that's where they pose all of their questions and concerns, not on my Facebook. No. So yeah, Liz Buchanan is off my Facebook. So I know those of you who commented on that specific post. And you're probably smart not to comment, but man, that passive aggressive, well, I'm still going to be an activist, so I'll like this person. It's like, makes me roll my eyes, but I'm not going to say anything. Because I know this programming is so damn hard. It really is. And then, it is quite, anyways, here. Yeah, I mean, and then also too, I mean, what else? You know, I mean, some of you are, you know, some of you want me to be more patient with those that don't get it. And I'm sorry, but either you get this information or you don't. You know, either you have the wherewithal to really understand where I'm coming from and you respect me enough to not violate my boundaries. And if you're going to be, you know, if you've been following me for a while, then you'll understand my boundaries. If you're just following me, you know, following me intermittently and you're just jumping in whenever, you know, you think is appropriate for you, but you're not really taking into account my information, it shows because you make dumb comments. You do activist stuff. And then if you really truly like my information and you really truly respect me, then guess what? You'll go and email me and you'll go buy the book and get into the discussion forum. But most likely you'll email me if you truly, truly believe in my information. Because yeah, I did block Liz Buchanan and I didn't give her any notice that I was going to do that. You know why? Because I think she's half-assed. Now she has to prove that she's not half-assed about the information. And then if she does email me, I'll tell her the reason why I blocked you is because, first of all, for one, you're an activist. Okay, and that's fine, you're an activist, but if you go on my Facebook and you inadvertently or indirectly be activist and whatever, then I'm going to call you on it. And then I'm going to say, hey, any questions? And then you go somewhere else and ask questions on, so that's neither here nor there. It's none of your business, really. I'm just letting you guys know that that's how I work with people who are still stuck in the activist world that bleed over onto my Facebook. Okay, and I have to hold people accountable because that's how I keep control of the information. It's how I understand why it is I am what I am. And I say, and then that's how you guys understand where I'm coming from. So you're not living in fear and that you're not misleading your friends and family to be worried about non-organic or GMO. Like this other lady, I'm not gonna say her name because I know she has good intentions. So I'm not gonna call her out, but I will read a comment that she posted, and she didn't realize that I've been talking about this. Okay. But this is what she put. So she put, cabbage juice helped me tremendously. I was losing weight so fast and not holding it at all. I was on my deathbed. I lost 30 pounds due to the gallbladder failure, and that was from 20 pounds lost when I had cancer almost 10 years ago in April. I decided to try Jillian Epperly cabbage juice drink, and I started to gain weight back slowly. I drank about 2 cups of cabbage juice a day at dinner or at lunch. You need to buy the book to make sure everyone is ready for the side effects of losing parasites that could be killing you in the toilet. Not really a side effect, but okay. That is how I felt, but my bowel tests were negative. Then I saw a show on Star Trek where this guy drew pictures of the rabbit showing him had a monster inside eating him alive. That is how I felt, but the doctors weren't telling me. Then I had 2 tests of roundworm and entamoeba histolytica reported by my naturopath, but it was not detected by my internal medicine doctor. Then magically the second test proved negative from my naturopath after addressing Costco with 3 recalled listeria bags that we ate 5 pounds of organic vegetables from Watts Farm. So now this is where she talks about, organic and GMO. And this is where, that's why I'm not going to ding her for it, because her mind, she's still very new. She doesn't realize that all of these GMO type stuff versus organic is not the reason why she has issues. She already has so many issues. And yes, any negative element, not even just GMO, the exposure to a vaccinated person, exposure to anyone that is sick, the pollution in the air would tip her over the scales. The water, the processed food in a restaurant, it's not the GMO. What she brought to the table was a very low tolerance to anything, and so it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter what she ate or drank or smoked or inhaled from the air. It would have put her over the edge. So this is, what you have to understand is that when you actually take on this protocol, you're going to purge out what doesn't belong, and then you're going to absorb all of the right elements. And then you got to deal with the healing symptoms. You got to deal with your body finally able to work the way it's supposed to. And yeah, it's going to be painful because healing is painful. So, you'll be going through that, and then you'll finally get to a point to where you're 100% perfect, and it's going to be a while for some of you. And then guess what? You'll be able to eat anything you want. You could even eat soy if you wanted to. You can even eat, ketchup that has high fructose corn syrup, and it's not going to hurt you. Now, if you ate ketchup every single day of your life, and from this point forward, and you stopped doing Jilly Juice, guess what? Yeah, you'll get a heavy metal poisoning. You'll get a high fructose mercury type of poisoning. But if you understand counterbalancing elements and countering forces and balancing elements, and you realize that the reason why you're sick is because you have an overabundance of negative elements, then you're going to, like I said, you're going to intellectualize my protocol because you haven't gotten there biochemical wise, and you're going to mitigate your exposure to the mercury, to the excess heavy metals like spices, like spicy foods, like pills, powders, and supplements, until you finally, and you take in a bunch of positive elements, like my recipe, and then you'll deal with the healing symptoms. And then eventually everything that you've ever had dealt with that was a symptom in some way is going to be reversed and disappeared. And then guess what? You'll be able to eat whatever you want. You can call it GMO, you can call it pollution, you can call it whatever. You'll be able to eat it and you won't have to worry about avoiding it. Now, if you walked into like, a majorly radiated zone like Chernobyl, you'll probably be okay, because guess what? You'll be drinking my juice because you'll be like, oh my God, I'm going into Chernobyl. I better be drinking some juice to counter those radioactive forces. And then you'll be fine. You won't suffer any radiation poisoning. But those that are already way behind the 8 ball and they walk into Chernobyl, yeah, they're going to suffer more malfunctions and malnutrition or mutations, because they're already way behind the 8 ball. They're already immunocompromised. But those of you that have been on this protocol for a while, you can go walk into Chernobyl, into a radioactive zone, and you won't get affected. But so that's why you can have 2 different people with the same vaccine, and one will have a reaction and the other one won't. Okay? So, that's what I'm saying is everything is relative to what you bring to the table. And the reason why Jilly Juice exists the way it does, the reason why the protocol is the way it does, is because it takes into account everybody. It takes into account whatever you bring to the table, and it puts you all on a level playing field. So that way you understand what is negative and what is positive, and you don't have to fear GMO, because you can have an organic fruit be way negative over a GMO fruit that isn't that negative. Do you see what I'm saying? How do you determine if GMO is poison when you can have an organic fruit that has all this crap on it? Genetically modified is how it's being grown, all the genetics that are being modified in there, right? But then you have this organic fruit or vegetable that was grown organically, not with any genetic modifications, and it could be sprayed with a bunch of stuff all over it. Okay, so there's no way for you to know which one is worse, which one's better, so you just forget that, and you just understand that Jilly Juice is the countering force. It is the force that will level the playing field, so you don't have to worry about anything. But the activists on my Facebook who are still in that debate against Monsanto have fallen for that propaganda, and they're only half-assed with my protocol. They're still, they want to have the best of all the worlds. They want to be able to go out there and rah, sis, boom, bah, and then also take Jilly Juice into the world, say, oh yeah, I support you. But, you still fall into the fear, and you don't really understand the role of Jilly Juice, where it takes away the activism. But you like the idea that this is new, this is revolutionary, it has a lot of press. So, the fact that you're defending it and all that stuff is like, it gives you a rise, it gives you gratification, it gives you whatever it gives you. But really, deep down, you really don't understand Jilly Juice at the deepest level, because you're superficially collecting activism platforms. Because Jilly Juice can be an activist platform for some that truly, that do love the activism. And they love the debates. They love getting into the fights with people. And it's just, they get off on it. Okay. And so, and they like the fire, because in the beginning, when I first started this, let me tell you, I had so many people, very mutated, love getting into arguments about Jilly Juice. And they couldn't wait to send me their screenshots of all the people that are talking smack about me. And finally, I had to just do away with the private messages when it comes to screenshotting what trolls are saying. I said, hey, the only communication I want through private messenger is testimonies. I don't need to see what the trolls are saying. I don't need to take part in that. I really don't like the debates. I don't like having to defend myself. I really don't like being tagged in somebody saying this or that. I don't. I just want to purely educate and make you guys not have to feel like you have to go and be an activist. That really all of that is just virtual reality. It's not real. Okay? It's not real. And so that way, when you get away from the activism, you finally get peace. And I don't see peace in the activists. If anything, they're creating more war. And so I have to speak and say that. And so that's why my world has become very, very small. Now, I did the Facebook mentions because it's something that it's a stepping stone to get a check mark next to my name. So those of you, you can go and figure out how to do check marks against your name to verify who you are, if you want that, okay? So that's the reason why I did Facebook mentions. But I don't like going out and Googling myself, because let me tell you, it sucks to Google yourself and you see all this crap said against you. So, but then, there's a reality, it happens. So you're like, okay, it happens, and I'll see it and I'll laugh about it, but I'm not going to go and mix in it, right? So that's why now I'm so happy with the way in which I set up my system. My Facebook is pure, no debates, no refuting, no nothing. It's just straight up support with a little bit of research and a little bit of questions being answered when it comes to more advanced material. But when it comes to my actual protocol on my Facebook, no, anyone that's new or doesn't understand the components of my protocol, you have to go to my website, because it means that you've read my book, or at least have the book. You may not even read the book, but at least you have the book. So if you decide to find out for yourself, great. But at least you made an investment. Now, I'm aware some people got my book and returned it, and they're still on the Facebook or it's still on the website. Okay, fine, whatever. The fact that you made those motions to go and buy the book, even if you return it, you still implemented energy. And even though you got your money returned, hey, that's fine. You had an energy, whether you're a troll, whether you're a fan, whether whatever, you still put your energy towards that. And now you got to go to my website, and you can ask all the questions you want on my website, because I have no limits to questions on the website, because I have a full, everybody in there wants to help you. And then my moderator, Lillian, wants to help you, and I'll help you too. Okay, so, that's how I've set everything up. So that way I don't have to worry about playing the debate game. I don't need to market as heavily as I do. I use YouTube as a way to, I don't know, as another source of mode of communication for those that are blocked on my Facebook. Because some people that are blocked on my Facebook could have a change of heart, and so at least they have access if they haven't emailed me. And if you really, and if people have been blocked, then if they really truly want to get back in my world, they can be authentic and reveal their vulnerability and email me. That's great. And I recognize that, so I'm not stupid. I'm not going to be mean about it. But I mean, I definitely, so I just don't want anybody living in fear, okay? If you are truly getting poisoned, then you would die. You'd be dead yesterday if you really thought the government was going to poison, if the government was trying to kill you. If you really think that Halliburton and all these people are trying to kill you, you'd be dead. You would be dead, okay? So the fact that you have choices says that you have every opportunity in the world to live if you understand how the world works, how your body works, how balancing forces work. And so, yes, I have been getting rid of activists off my Facebook who don't understand it. They still are stuck in that world. And if they truly want to do Jilly Juice, they'll go buy the book and then go in my discussion forum and they'll ask the questions there. And then if they're wondering why I blocked them, then they can email me and ask me. And if they really don't care, then that's fine. They won't make any kind of effort, and then I was right. I don't want to be right, but I also, don't need to be battling battles that I don't get anything from. Fight a battle that you can win. If someone does take the time to email me, I'll email them back if I feel, and then if I see that it's not going anywhere, then I'll make a decision whether or not they should belong back on my Facebook. I mean, sometimes you may have to prove yourself even more. Some of you have to, go do a little further proving of yourself, just like I have to prove myself to all of you. We all have to prove our worth to each other, because that's how we determine if it's enough, if we want to invest that kind of energy. No different than when you buy something, you got to prove the worth of what you're buying, right? If I'm going to buy your energy, you got to prove to me that you're worth me buying your energy. And I'm the same way too. You have to see if I'm worth it or not in your world. It's quid pro quo. We vet each other out. Anyway, I just had a bunch of potatoes with some ketchup because I was hungry for that. So I got a surge of energy. I haven't drank my juice yet, but woo, I had 3 potatoes. And I put them in the oven with some butter and some olive oil, and yeah, and I put a little spices on it, and I put a bunch of ketchup, and I just ate it. And now I'm just like just buzzing around, right? So, but I also wanted to be very clear. That's right, Ellen, we do vet each other out. I just wanted to be clear about the whole thing with organic versus GMO. And then when an activist came on there and made her point, and then all the people that liked her comment, and they knew that she was refuting. She was half-assed supporting me, half-assed defending the whole movement against the GMO. And I'm like, and I like the girl. I don't know why. I don't even know her, but she's from the Bay Area, but she's still an activist. She's still worried about the chemtrails in the sky. She still thinks the world is ugly. And there's nothing that I can do to make her say that the world is beautiful. There is nothing that I could do. It is now her responsibility to change her biochemistry. At this point, it's out of my hands. If she truly wants to change her biochemistry and change her perspective on the world, then she's got to do the work. She knows there's something to this Jilly Juice. She knows it, but she hasn't actually done the work enough to experience it to keep her calm and not inducing fear in the population. And if you like Jilly Juice and you're still an activist, then you're still on the fence. But if you're not commenting on my Facebook, then I don't really care. But if you are commenting on my Facebook, then I have no choice but to figure out where exactly you're coming from, and to see if you're worth me, if you're worth me taking the time to figure out what's going on with you. So, you notice I didn't delete that comment that was on that GMO versus organic right away, because I let that slide. Remember, I do let things slide. But then, she made that comment, and then she started getting comfortable. And then she went on to the raw cabbage post that I said, and she's like, oh, well, I was told that raw cabbage is horrible on the thyroid. Is there any truth to that? And I'm just like, okay, done. She's not ready for it. She hasn't done the research. She hasn't read the book, and she hasn't been following me, close enough to understand that any questions regarding the protocol or any concerns you ask in the website. So she's off my Facebook. Okay, so I do make allowances, but I don't want to have everybody in the world questioning, refuting, debating, all of that. I've got to mitigate all that, because I don't want it to be diluted with people's concerns, people's issues. Because you got to do some work too, guys. You got to read the book. You got to go in and go in the proper areas to do what you got to do, so that way you're not taxing me. And that's why I don't go on people's Facebooks anymore, and I don't really drop too many seeds. If I do drop a seed, it's in the nicest way without triggering someone. And that's the key thing, is if I'm going to drop seeds, first of all, I'm going to figure out who they are. But I have dropped seeds. Actually, today someone went on there and said, and they posted something talking about that, that humans or Americans are slobs, because of the lack of attendance at the national parks because of the federal, government shutdown and everything. And I said, no, Americans aren't slobs, because tourists also go there. Tourists are pissing and pooing on the ground as well, not just Americans. And then she goes, well, I'm not saying all Americans, but most, I'm like, most, what? And then somebody else saying, oh, the cabbage lady, I didn't know you were still around. And I'm like, what, so I just block both of them, because, the attitude of that Americans are slobs, and having this whole piss poor view of humans. And then I guess one of the ladies said that, humans are poor stewards of the earth. And I'm like, no, they're not. Mutated humans are poor stewards of their own life as well as the earth. It's not just earth. They don't like themselves. So the fact that we have people who are pissing and shitting on the ground in national parks says a lot about who they think they are. They lack respect for themselves. So of course they're going to lack respect for Earth. But it's not all humans. It's the mutated ones. But when I see people who post to that, all people are like this, all are like that, then, you're like, okay, I don't want that. So but then I will drop seeds that aren't inflammatory. And they either get or they don't, and so but I really don't even do that, because now I really rely on the references from you guys to your friends. I rely on that you guys do a very good introduction to my information if you choose to share it. Okay, some of you don't want the flack, so you just leave it alone and you just show your friends and family. And that's great. And I don't have any expectation. You know, you do contribute positively to my Facebook as well as our mutual friends. I'm fine with that. You don't have to go and market for me. I'm not asking that either. So yeah, so anyways, that's something that I wanted to cover, the organic versus GMO, because that's a hard one, especially for the chemtrail activists, because organic versus GMO bleeds into that. And then it's the anti-vax, pro-vax that bleeds into that. And then, you know, and then all these political platforms are all are piggybacking on each other because they're all came from the same people who induce fear that are mutated. They'd rather avoid things and understand how to balance things out. And maybe in the beginning you do avoid a lot of things, which is what my protocol does. I mean, we intellectualize what is positive and negative, and we try to avoid as much negative as we can and put more positive, which is the elements that are abiding by the laws of the immune system. And then eventually we realize that once we get out from behind the 8-ball, then we can have whatever we want as long as we're keeping with the major predominant positive elements. And then allowing for a certain amount of negative elements to be, you know, to be in our life, so that way it'll help repel what's bad, so we can attract what's good. Okay, so you know, so it's okay to judge. Be as judgmental as you can. It's okay to judge everybody, because that is your positive negative elements working for you. But then also to understand that you are working from a mutation. If you're not doing Jilly Juice, you're working from a mutated position. So if you are aging and you have cancer, disease, and chronic illness, your gut may not be super clear. So how can you make really super clear decisions? So this is why I have my book to explain the positive and negative elements and how they play a part with, how they play, you know, how they work with each other. They play a part in everything. And then understand the balancing forces. Okay, so it's a lot to peel back, and it's difficult for anyone new to come on my Facebook. It's very difficult for them to understand where I'm at, because I'm so far, way far, you know, to the other side. I don't even want to say advanced. I'll just say that my thought process is very, very different than the average person who is just trying to survive in this world. But it comes full circle. You will eventually be okay. You'll be able to eat your pastries if you want to. But you'll have the Jilly Juice somewhere in the background, and you'll be downing my Jilly Juice, because you know that eating that donut or that pastry or whatever it is, you eat too many of those, yeah, you're gonna have some kind of reaction over time. You always have to have the right balancing forces. And so when you are behind the 8-ball, you're going to mitigate the negative forces, really eat the positive forces. And that's all in my book about what positive and negative elements are. And then eventually get to an equilibrium, and then you can have a bit of both worlds. And you'll be able to keep the balance, and it will show, because you're not aging. You reversed your cancer, disease, and chronic illness. You're not triggered. You know why? Because you removed all your triggers. It's not the fact that you've anesthetized yourself where people can do stuff to you and you don't feel it. No, you have removed all of the negative triggers, where your life is where if you do get triggered, it's only very few and far between, and you're able to recover. You'll be able to repair the mutation, the PTSD from that trigger that found a way to get to you. Because, you know, but now I can read negative stuff and it won't affect me. You know, now if I was trying to live outside the system, to be an anarchist and an anti-government person, where I don't want to get a business license, I don't want to get insurance or pay my taxes, guess what? I should be scared of the government trying to get me. But no, I know how to abide by the laws of the land that I live in, so that way I can still keep speaking and gain enough credibility from the mainstream, as well as gain credibility from the alternative mainstream. So I don't paint myself in a corner because I'm so pissed off. No, I understand not to be so extreme, so that way I can reach everybody, and that I'm able to live and work within the society that I choose to live in. I love America. It gave me so much opportunity. I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for America. I'd be dead probably in Vietnam. Now, if I was able to survive in Vietnam, I'd be probably out there in the paddies or at some whorehouse, living a shitty life. Or who knows? Back in 1974, if I didn't get out of Vietnam, who knows? I'd still be, I'd probably be still in the rice paddies. Maybe have 50 kids. Okay, so America has something to offer people. I am not an anarchist. I'm not an anti-government person. I understand the role of it all because people are mutated and some people cannot abide by the law, so they need mommy and daddy, and that's where the law comes in. That's where policemen come in. That's where government comes in. If you cannot handle your life and abide by the laws in the land that you live in, then yes, you need mommy and daddy to make sure that you are taking care of yourself, to make sure that you're held accountable for your actions. Okay, so those of you that are pretty much independent and you still want to live in an infrastructure, in a society, you're pretty free because guess what? Yeah, you pay taxes to live in a society. Yeah, you pay the IRS to pay the government to make sure that everything that you expect is going to be there. But then you don't worry about health insurance too much because you can take care of yourself. You get catastrophic or you get some kind of emergency in case you're in a car accident. And you have insurance for the things that you actually need that you're not in control of. You don't have insurance for the things that you have control over. I don't have health insurance and I don't want it. Okay? But if I have medical on my car insurance in case I'm in a car accident and it's somebody else's fault or my own fault for whatever reason, I have something to at least get me through triage, and then I'll come home and I'll recover and take my Jilly Juice and heal. That's the only insurance I have. I don't need health insurance. I don't need wellness visits. I don't need to have to go and get my flu shot every year. I don't need all of that preventative stuff that Kaiser or Blue Cross or Altman or anything offer, because that's on a death trajectory over there. Mercy Hospital, Altman, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, all of those are death trajectories. You pay insurance because you have no idea how it is to live your life. You have no idea how your body works, and you don't trust yourself. You trust yourself in somebody else's hands. And then guess what? You have the outcome of somebody else's hands. And I told my husband, hey, if you're not going to do Jilly Juice, then you got to get health insurance because somebody has got to stabilize you if you have a heart attack or something else. You think I can just stay? I mean, yeah, I'll give you some juice, but really, you're at work or something happens, you got to have a place, because we're going to get a bill. You go to the hospital and you don't have health insurance, we're going to get a big ass bill. I'm fine with that too, if that's how he wants to play it. I'm relieved not to be represented in those systems anymore. Yeah, Ellen, I mean, I'm happy too. I'm so done with the health insurance. And I paid Kaiser one time $300 a month for a few months when I was in school. $300 a month to Kaiser for an individual plan, and I hardly was ever gone to the hospital. I paid money to something that I never ever used. And then when I did try to use it for my PMDD, guess what they said? They said, hey, we're going to prescribe you Prozac to handle your PMDD. Once I gave them all the symptoms that I had, they're like, okay, well, here's how it is. You can talk to an advice nurse, go see an advice nurse once a month for some kind of counseling, and then here's some Prozac. And I completely said, forget it. That's what my $300 a month bought me, was a prescription drug and a once a month counseling with some advice nurse or whatever nurse that does that. Sorry, that wasn't okay with me. And I knew back then, before even the protocol, that was just like, that didn't make sense. Okay, so, so those that don't rely on those kind of systems are free. Those are not run by their hormones, whether it's fear, whether it's, oxytocin, which is a love hormone, the adrenaline, the depression or lack thereof. You guys are free. You guys are not enslaved by your hormones. But those that are activists, you guys are enslaved by your hormones. You guys are enslaved. Activists, anti-government people, anarchists, who else? The conspiracy theorists, they are slaves. They're slaves to reacting to whatever story they see on the internet. They cannot differentiate between reality and fantasy. Those are slaves because they're working from a very limited platform because of their mutations. And those that are actually finally getting on board with Jilly Juice, who are finally seeing that it is hormone induced, and they let go of the triggers, or they've eradicated the triggers, and they've finally created a beautiful space to work from, they now see the freedom because they know they're not in imminent danger. When you're thinking you're in imminent danger, you are a slave to the system. When you can't recognize what imminent danger is and what a fantasy is, you're a slave. So, you know, the fact that I know when I'm in danger and when I'm not in danger is a very freeing type of place to work from. I love it. So that way you can that way you can put your eggs in the right baskets. That way you can live your life in the way you're supposed to. And I'm feeling hot right now. So I'm going through my own healing symptoms of hot flashes, healing symptoms, because I am healing my reproductive system. So right now, I don't know if you can see it, I'm getting shiny and getting, you know, this is where I get the hot flashes occasionally. So I'm experiencing it right now, and whew, it's hot. So, you know, so just anyways, go to jillyjuice.com. If you just joined me and you just started really watching me and everything, go to jillyjuice.com, get my book. It has the protocol. It has the science behind there, at least enough science that was able to shut my government up, you know, because the OAG asked me to substantiate 10 different things, and I did enough for them to get off my back. And the only thing they had in response to my substantiation was the Federal Trade Commission. So they passed my information along to the Federal Trade Commission. The Federal Trade Commission got back to me and told me, you cannot advertise in this way. Change your advertising or we will fine you. I changed my advertising. I have not heard a word from them since. So the science that I have that has been corroborated by PubMed and government sources and academia is in my book. Go read it. Read the protocol, understand, and then if you have any questions, send us a receipt. We'll then send you a login and password, and you can ask unlimited questions. Unlimited questions. And it's a lifetime support. So the return on your investment is way far greater for you than it is for me. Okay? Because I'm not getting 7 billion people buying the book. If that were the case, I'd be rich. No, I'm working with you guys little by little. And I'm dependent upon all of you guys to help your friends, tell them to buy the book, give them the power of life or death in their own hands. And so, you know, and then I have another book coming out that Kevin and I are writing, and that will give you more details and stuff that you may not be covered in this book. All right, I'm going to go do my thing. My husband's going to be home in a couple hours, less than that. And I got to figure out what to cook for him. I can't wait to get a dishwasher because I'm washing dishes with a soap that's making like bumps on my hands. And I know I could get gloves, but I just wash dishes. But I'm going to go step outside or something because it's like hot. Okay, you guys have a good night and a good day. And if Liz Buchanan ever messages any of you guys and asks why did she block me, just tell her to email me and I'll tell her why I blocked her. So that way she understands, and she may not care, but she might, who knows? I don't know. But that's the first step. Okay, so you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot for listening. Bye.